When I think of College Street and I think of that theme of building on 100 years of faith, I envision a line of people, of every member of this congregation, from the oldest to the youngest, standing hand in hand. And to me, that represents that 100 years of faith, from the oldest person at one end of that line, representing the 100 years of history that this congregation has enjoyed in this community, to the very youngest baby at the other end of that line, representing the fact that we are looking forward to the future, to their future, to our children's future and our grandchildren's future as a part of this congregation here in this community.
They were meeting out at Patrick's Chapel, the congregation out there, and they started meeting in a lodge hall down on the corner of Macmillan and Rogers, on the corner of the next to that corner, a two-story lodge building, and they met upstairs down there while they were building the building. Mama was going there when I was born, in 26.
Well, I was 11 years old when I was baptized in the old building, and I remember that baptistry they had to lift up the thing on the pulpit, kind of like a trap door, on the floor, and the baptistry was down there. Mm-hmm. I don't remember all of it, but I'm sure they had steps. And Brother Horace Busby, who a lot of people will be familiar with that name, was holding a meeting here. And when I moved here, Brother L.S. White was the preacher, and he was when I was baptized.
Okay. My father was an elder, and he was also treasurer. And on Sunday, he would bring the contribution home. I remember he would spread it out on the bed, and he would hope that we had collections enough to pay the preacher $30 and to pay the utilities. And we did do a little in the way of sponsoring Bowles Children's Home, which was in Bowles Orphans Home, but we still sponsor them. That's a very worthy cause. And back in those days, that was Depression days, and money was very hard to come by.
So most people, if they lived within walking distance, they walked to church. One of our old members told me a story one time. She said that my grandfather, with 26 years, he only missed 2 meetings at the church in 26 years. And one of the meetings, he was digging a grave for a fellow who was going to be buried that afternoon. And the other was, it come a blowing hard rain, and he didn't have a top for his buggy. My grandpa, he tried to teach me, to do right. Well, they moved from over to Auburn, and they came over to the little church at Waxahachie with just a little, I used to say a plank. It was a little wood building. I think they started with very few members. So I went to that little, and I was baptized. 1939, I was baptized.
Hi, I'm Walter Buchanan, and I've been privileged to be a part of the College Street Church of Christ for about 19 years. And I can honestly say that the College Street Church of Christ is one of the very best congregations with which I've ever been associated. I appreciate the good reputation that the College Street Church has in the city. I also appreciate the unity and the harmony that has prevailed through the years. I appreciate the good blend of our membership. We have the young and the elderly and the in-between. And it has been such a privilege to see some people grow up through their teenage years and marry and establish their own home, and now they're a vital part of this congregation. One thing I've just got to share about Red Dias. It was a Sunday evening. Red was down there on the front seat, ready to change my transparencies as needed. And it was during the song service. And at the beginning of one of the songs, John said, "Let us sing." Red thought he said, "Let us stand." And so he stood there on the front seat, the only person in the crowd standing. And after about a verse, he looked back at me like, "You dummy, why aren't you standing up?" And then he looked back and saw that he was the only one standing. And you know, sometimes some of the funniest things happen at church services, and I guess we might as well just laugh about them.
Hi, I'm Dean Kilmer. About 4 years ago, Karen and I made a decision to come to College Street, and since that time I've been the preacher here. The decision to come was quite an easy one. I'd known Walter Buchanan for a number of years, and I knew through Walter that this would be a good, solid church filled with good teaching and a good commitment to the Lord. When we came, we knew the history of this church. We knew that it was one that always cared about people, was very involved in the community. We knew something about the missions that this church has been involved in and the number of places that have been reached with the gospel because of this congregation. So it's quite an easy decision to come to College Street. And since we've been here, we found all those things to be true, and we've seen a great spirit in this congregation. But you know, the main reason that we decided to come to College Street is because of the future. Today we're celebrating 100 years of faith and 100 years that this congregation has been building in Jesus Christ. And we're also looking forward to the next 100 years. The city of Waxahachie is expected to double in the next 10 or 15 years. And with that prospect, that means this congregation needs to double in the next 10 or 15 years. That's an exciting opportunity. We're looking forward to this congregation continuing to be united behind our elders, taking the lead of the men that are committed to serving Jesus Christ and committed to helping this congregation grow. We realize that there's a great spirit of love that will help people to come to Christ, and we're looking forward to the future of this congregation.
I would like for our church to have in the future maybe a youth room for all of our teenagers and younger people to get together and have devos and things and lock-ins and things like that.
I wish in future College Street we could have a new youth classroom because ours is getting overpopulated.
Stay on track, teach the truth, and always be what we call the friendly church. And there's no limit to what this church can do if everybody will just pitch in.
I would like more legroom between the pews.
I would probably like a big youth room.
I would too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope this church will always be a church that cares. When I look around at all these people and the way they commit their lives to God, I know they really care. And I just hope that in the future, as this body grows, we always have the same kind of great leadership that changes the world around it.
I wish that we had more legroom in the church pews because I always hit my knees and it hurts really bad.
And what I'm looking forward to in the future is this congregation to be mission-oriented. That is, seeking and saving the lost. And I'll be praying for our eldership that this congregation, if it be here or at another location, will be patterned always after New Testament Christianity.
The only thing that any organization has to worry about is complacency. If they get to the point where they're just self-satisfied, they don't want to get any bigger, I think that's a dangerous situation for any organization. But I think that with the leadership we got, that we can go on and we can build. Now we've been 100 years and we have withstood the test of time. And had we not been on the right track, had we not had the right kind of leadership and the right kind of decisions, I don't think we'd ever made it 100 years.
And the future is very bright for the College Street Church of Christ.
We're excited to be here during this time of transition as we honor our past history, as we honor our heritage of faith, and at the same time look forward to where we're going in the future and how we're going to continue growing as God's family.